I'm gonna hit go. All right, go for it, guys.
All right, so our app is a bucket list app. It didn't start out as a bucket list app, but I think Adam will get into that a little bit. So it's a bucket list app. You sign in with Google, and then it'll take you to a page where you can add locations and events that you want to participate in. And we'll keep track of those, make cards down at the bottom, and pin those locations on the map at the top of the app. So what's that? I'm going off script? Am I? You enter the app, the info into the app. It automatically adds it into Firebase, plots it onto the map, and also displays the current weather information. You also have the option to delete anything if you don't wish to use that entry anymore. So, Bill?
Okay, so the motivation for the development, we're thinking, how many times have you thought about something that you'd like to do or a place you'd like to visit and you just completely forgot about it? So with this app, you can easily create, map, and store in a database a personal list of things you would like to do or places you'd like to visit. You can add items, map them, add notes. And then once they're complete, you can remove them, but they'll still be in the database. So our design process, we originally started out, we had like these big ideas, these grand things we were gonna make. And like most of the groups here, you probably, with your projects, you probably learned that some of the things were out of reach or a little difficult to do. So we originally had started out making a completely different app. We were going to make an app where you were going to visit a state. You put in the state that you were going to visit, and it would bring up the most popular dish for that state, and it would give you a list of restaurants where you can get it. We were probably halfway through that project when we ran into trouble with the Google Places API. The API was really complicated, had huge amounts of data, and we just couldn't find the right way to pull it out, right? Yeah, pretty much. And we couldn't get it to plot to the map correctly, and like I said, it was a really complex object. So at the beginning of this week, we decided to bail on this idea, and then we went with the bucket list, which was the other idea that we had. So even though the first app wasn't successful, we learned quite a bit about the process. We decided to make sure that all the basics for the app were working. And then once we had the basics working, we could build out more features into it later on. So with this, once we had the mapping working correctly, we added a weather API. And the last step we did was styling it with the CSS. So by having a hard time with the first one, it kind of gave us the process to do and made it smoother the second time.
Yeah, so basically the technology that we use Firebase to store all of the bucket list items. So whenever somebody goes back in, all of their stuff automatically plots back to the map. We use the Google Maps API to geocode the locations. We also use the Open Weather Maps API to show the weather at the certain places on the map. We used HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, jQuery, JavaScript. In the original one, we had used Google Places API. We also tried another API called Samato. So with all of that testing, and we all have learned a ton, just from doing this project, because trying to figure out an API that works with another API, and then you have to you get 30 minutes into research and then realize, like you guys were saying, it's just is not going to work. So I can't tell you how many APIs I've researched for an hour, and it was just like, this is not going to work at this point, So, but you do learn a lot, and I think it's going to be easier when we get into Node, like you guys were saying, because a lot of them, it just seems like you can just use it, So, I guess we'll just get into how the app works. So basically, you come into a login screen, and you can sign in with Google or your email. I'll just sign in with Google to make it easier.
You can sign in as me.
Oh, okay, sweet. Actually, yeah, it's not my computer. I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to doing that,
What?
All right, so once you come in, it loads up this splash screen here, which is a map, and there's a crazy skydiver in the background. And then this is where all of your bucket list items will go. So it has a form here, so you can just add a new bucket list item, and then once you do, it gives you the title of it, the address, any notes that you come up with it, the weather, and then there's this completed button here. So once you're done with that bucket list item, you can just remove it from the map. So does anybody here have like something that they want to do before they die? Preferably that's in a long time, but a bucket list item. Anybody? What do you have? Like something that's
I
mappable
want to
too.
program myself into a computer so that I can't die.
Where would you like to do that?
All right.
Who wants to be in the Matrix?
Steve Jobs' old house.
Anybody have a specific thing, like something?
I want to go to the Pacific Northwest, so just
Okay.
Portland.
Portland? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this is grab this.
Portland.
So we'll just say.
I want to go there too.
Yeah. It's really cool. There's probably a million zip codes there.
Yeah. I was hoping there would be like an address or something. Let's see here.
Zip codes. Just grab that first zip code at the bottom.
Where are we?
So yeah, they have below. There's a range of zip codes.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. All right, so you can just go into your form here and say, I want to go to Oregon. And then we don't know what the street address is, so we can just say Portland. This all just kind of combines the address together, so whatever information that you have, you can put in here, and it'll usually geocode it pretty easily. And paste in the zip code, notes, whatever you want to say. Actually, let's copy some information from this, so it's a little better. And then just paste that in the notes section. Once you hit submit, it pulls it up here in a card, and then it also maps it, and it shows it here. And then you have your little card here on the map. So if you can see, like, as you start adding stuff to the map, I mean, you can fill this map up all over the world with stuff that you want to do. And that way you have it all in one place. Because, like Bill was saying, I do this a lot, especially like restaurants and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, I really want to check that out. And then I forget about it. And I'm like, what restaurant was that I wanted to go to or whatever? So then you can just pull up your app, put it in, plot it to the map. You have it in your database, you're good to go. That way you can just go through your list when you're like, where do I want to go on my next vacation? You already have like 10 or 15 things already there. So that's basically it. Any questions? Oh, we have to do the other
Yeah.
part. Oh, I'm sorry.
For the future, there were
We'll do the future, then we'll do questions. Sorry.
Yeah, so we were pretty limited because we essentially did this entire app this week.
Time crunch.
Time crunch. We used some of the stuff from the previous app that we were attempting to create, but not all of it translated over. So one good thing that we would like to do within the future is to add the ability to search places and add to the map. Kind of integrate that function so you don't have to already have the address you want to go to in order to make a card and make a pin on the map. Add the capability to have it be social, so either link it to social networks or socialize the app itself, the web app. The ability to like the cards on other people's bucket lists, and the ability to make groups so that you can join a group if everybody wants to go to the same place. You can all take that trip together and complete bucket list items with your friends. And then a suggestion system where suggestions will pop up based on your other bucket list items for things that you might like as well, or things to do in the area while you're going to do your bucket list item before or after.
All right, now questions, sorry.
Is there a way to, once you've accomplished one of your bucket list items, to like, I don't know, put another marker that says like you've done
Completed or
it,
something.
you've completed, and so that you don't have to like, see it again while you're looking for other things you want to do?
So right now, it just, you complete it and it just removes it from the database. But I actually, like, one of the ideas I was thinking of was having, like a separate folder or a separate thing, like an admin that shows the ones that you've done and when, so you kind of like reminisce, kind of something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You can almost do that like right below it. You can have like an accordion that opens up for like archives, like
Yeah.
archive bucket list or something.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion.
Sure.
You were saying about how you forget stuff.
Yeah.
you still might forget with this, but if you make it so that, like, Google would just, when it checks your location, it checks this, sees if you're near one of your bucket list items, and if you're within a certain radius, it can say, oh, hey, like,
Yeah.
you wanted to do this, but
Remember this.
forget.
Good idea. Thank you.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, another suggestion. As far as, because, I mean, this is worldwide, you have
Yeah.
little buckets or, things that you like to do. So, as far as keeping the user engaged the entire time they have things on their bucket list, I was thinking that you could integrate some type of, like airline or flight API that
Yeah.
just alerts them about these certain flights that pertain to their bucket
I
list.
just saw a widget that did that the other day.
Say again?
I just saw a widget online that you could like, just copy the code, paste it onto your site, and then you can find flights right from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
Some type
alert
of
you, like
widget,
if there's a
yeah.
cheap flight going out there or whatever.
Yeah. Something just to, just keep it marinating on the fact that, okay, this
Yeah,
this is over,
keep
this
snagging
item's
with it.
over here. Can't forget about that one.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
That might become more
Thank you.
depressing over time. They still haven't done this. Never gonna go to Europe.
So what didn't work with the Zomato app, the Zomato app?
So
I'm playing
initially,
Tomato.
what we were gonna do was use the Google Places API
Mhm.
to like, spit out the addresses and then integrate it with the Zomato API. But the trouble with Zomato was they needed restaurant IDs because they had their own search function. So you'd have to search in Zomato, then
Okay.
get the restaurant ID, and then it's like this.
So it wasn't comparing apples to apples.
Yeah,
when
it was just so
okay.
much involved in the process. Like we probably could have done it in like a 2-month project, but
Uh-huh.
a 2-week project was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it just I found with a lot of the APIs, like a lot of them will kind of do like the same steps, so it's like kind of hard to use them together in certain situations.
Yeah, you
know?
can't use like A and B out of one and then